Hey folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Thanks for joining us. I know everybody's busy, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I really do appreciate that. I know it's important. It's important to me that you take time out of your day to be with us. And so what I do is I try to come up with health topics to teach you ways to naturally get well and stay well. So if you're new to the show, that's what this show is all about. What we're going to do today, we're going to come up with the reasons behind most chronic health conditions. So many people suffer from chronic health conditions. We're going to get into statistics in just a second. Suffering from chronic health conditions, and they don't know why. And every single day, I've been in practice 38 years. Every single day, patients come in and say, I've been to this doctor, that doctor, I had this analysis, this test. Nobody can tell me why. Had a case yesterday, and patient said that he was yesterday? Anyway, he was dizzy. Went to a neurologist. Neurologist says, yeah, you're dizzy. Can't find out why. The reason was his digestive system wasn't working properly. It was irritating something called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve was being stimulated, causing a vasovagal response, it's called, and he would get dizzy when he'd eat something that affected his digestive system in a bad way. So it wasn't hard to figure out for me. So that's what we do. We try to get to the cause of the problem, not just treat the symptoms. And that's what we're going to talk about today is so many chronic health problems, and we treat the symptom, but nobody ever addresses why. And the number one issue, and the easiest one to fix actually of all of them, is obesity. Now, I used to be fat. I can say the F word. I used to be fat. So I understand what it's like to struggle with eating. And so I don't struggle every day anymore. I struggle every meal. I got to be really careful to only eat the best foods. And if I'm not eating the best foods, I totally lose control. You know, the old joke, potato chips, you can't eat just one. There's a reason for that. You can't eat just one because once you eat one, the fat, the carbohydrates, and the salt, which is the perfect combination, by the way, of foods that get you high, kick in, releases dopamine in your brain. It affects a part of the brain called the nucleus accumbens, and you get high from it. And so what happens, you want to eat more. And so food scientists have come up with ways, and there's a whole branch, like I said, of food science, that they want you to eat more food. How can I get you, the consumer, to buy more of my product? And so we have to understand what's going on out there, and we don't want to fall for the tricks, is what it boils down to. In reality, about 10 food companies control manufactured food at your grocery store. There's not a lot of diversity there. And most of what they make is ultra-processed and high in things like sugar and bad fats, hydrogenated oils. And so you have to go around that. And the nice part is that when you understand how to do that, it's cheaper than what you're doing right now. It's better for you than what you're doing right now. And hopefully you lose weight. So it's not hard to do. You just have to know why. 2016 National Health and Nutrition Exam Survey recorded the highest rate of obesity ever documented by the survey. 39.6% of adults were obese. And again, that was several years ago. Those numbers have only grown since then. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention record 42.5% of adults 20 years and older obese. And that was 4 years ago. Almost half, 42.5% of people are obese. Not just overweight, obese. Adult obesity, if you look at what's called the prevalence map, where it is all over the country, highest prevalence obesity and overweight in the Midwest and in the southern states, with greater than 40% population recorded as obese. Exception, Florida. That percentage was between 25 and 30%, so Florida's a little skinnier than the rest of the South. The greatest challenge to maintain a healthy weight is what? Your diet. It's what you eat. Now, there are other factors that contribute, a lack of physical activity, but you can't out-exercise a poor diet. Another way of saying that is you can't outrun your fork. I've had many, many patients over the years that work out like crazy, but they eat a bad diet. If you had to choose between exercise and eating right, I'm going to say, is about 85% of the issue. Exercise is about 15%. Now, I'm not saying don't exercise. What I'm saying is diet is the most important thing. And diet's the one thing that we do all day, every day. Some people can't exercise. Some people have spinal issues. Some people have pain issues. Some people are old. They have bad knees. So the diet is the one thing 100% of us have control over. Now, some of you may say, well, Dr. Joe, I don't have control of my diet. I live in a assisted living home. Okay, maybe you're in prison. I know this show, a lot of prisoners listen to the show. So you may not have control of your diet, but at least you can make better choices. Now, years ago, I was told when you fly, no matter what your dietary habits are, always ask for the vegan meal. And back in the day, they used to give you meals on planes, if you remember that. But again, if you still fly long distance, Europe or something like that, you're going to get meals. I strongly advise you always ask for the vegan meal. A couple of reasons. Number one, you're going to get it first. It's kind of fun. They serve you first. Number two, the food is always better. It always tastes better. And number three, it's a healthier choice. Because when you're flying, you're under a lot of stress. You're putting a lot of stress on your body. So there's emotional stress. Got to get there on time. Got to see where I'm sitting. Got to make sure I don't miss my flights. There's physical stress. Sometimes you have to wake up early, carry your bags. But there's the chemical and the environmental stress. When you're flying, you're being exposed to a lot of radiation. In fact, I had a flight attendant one time years ago, and I gave her a little radiation badge. We used it for our x-ray techs in our offices. And I said, wear this for a month and see what happens. And she did. And radiation exposure was of concern. It was just the high end of normal. But that's 1 month, and she's doing this all months, all the time. So there's a lot of stress that goes on with your body when you fly. And so eating is so important when we travel, but I have patients all the time say, well, Dr. Joe, I travel all the time. I can't eat healthy. I can't make better decisions. Yes, you can. And if you go to our website, drjoe.com, type the words, so what can I eat, in the search bar. And there I talk about what you can eat. We talk about breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks. We talk about stocking your pantry, unstocking your pantry, and we also talk about travel. So there are better choices. So instead of having a beef burrito, have a bean burrito. Instead of having French fries, which are one of the most horrible things you could possibly eat, have a salad. Okay, if you're going to order something in a restaurant, well, you want a side dish. You want a salad or fries? I want the fries. I choose the salad. I mean, I'm normal. I like fries like everybody else. But just make the better decisions. But I digress here for a second. So it's important to recognize that you can't outwork or outrun your fork. So the first factor you should look at is how to maintain your weight. And obesity is one of the major triggers of preventable diseases. Many, countless times in my career, patients have come in and said, Dr. Joe, I'm desperate now. What do I do? And I look at their diet, I look at their lifestyle, and they've done all bad things all their life, and now they have a disease, and they're desperate. Now, the one thing good about being desperate is you're motivated. You're more likely to do what I tell you to. But they all regret doing what they did, getting to the point that caused the disease to come on. So according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 6 out of every 10 Americans in the U.S. have at least one chronic health condition. 6 out of 10. Heart disease, diabetes, cancer. There are also the leading cause of death in the United States, and obesity and overweight are significant risk factors for heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. Now, what's the heart disease and cancer are 1 and 2 causes of death? What's the third leading cause of death in the United States? Do you know? Medical failures. It's called iatrogenic disease, caused by the doctor. So I want to say malpractice, I guess I could say that, but medical failures is the number 3 cause of disease. Wrong drug, too much drug, not enough drug, wrong treatment. And so my goal is to avoid going to the doctor at all cost because it's the third leading cause of death. I have control over heart disease and cancer because I eat a really good diet. I get chiropractic care. So my risk is reduced dramatically. It's not zero, but it's very low as far as me getting a chronic disease. But I want to avoid people making mistakes on me, which is something that you can avoid too if you don't have to go to the doctor so much. 10-year studies show that dose-response relationship between being overweight and the development of chronic health conditions, including gallstones, diabetes, high blood pressure, colon cancer, and heart disease. So what does that mean? Dose-response relationship. The heavier you are, the higher the risk of getting a disease. It's just that simple. Now, there are significant changes that happened with the food supply in the past couple of years that make it a lot harder for you to stay healthy. 20, 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have to worry about things like genetically modified food, glyphosate, the processing of foods. Grocery stores, I don't know how old you are, but grocery stores have gotten a lot bigger. There's even super grocery stores now. When I was a kid, much smaller grocery stores, much less food choices. And the food choices were a lot better. So think about that. So if you want to lose weight, you can go to our website, drjoe.com, and type the words weight loss in the search bar. We did a really good show on weight loss. In our office, we offer a 21-day jumpstart program. And it's supplements and it's food choices. And 21 days, I need to reset your brain. It's because the way you look at food, the way you're stimulated by food, the way your body's excited by certain foods. Because we've all been on a diet. I assume most of us have. And it's really great the first couple of days. And then temptation rears its ugly head, and you start going off the path. So the nice part is with the 21-day protocol, we get you have to eat these foods, these supplements, take this. You're not hungry. The first couple of days are a little tough because your brain has to reset itself. It's so used to being overstimulated, and now it's not stimulated anymore. And after about 3 or 4 days, it becomes this is the new norm. It's not hard to do. But you really need to reset your brain if you want to lose weight. It's not in your stomach, it's in your brain. And the reason is bad foods stimulate pleasure centers in your brain. You get high from them. So it is not a secret why people want to eat and why it's so hard to have willpower. It's not really about willpower. It's about resetting the brain. And then I guess that you call that willpower. And like I said, about 10 companies control most of the manufactured food. It's called the 21-day weight loss program or 21-day detox. You can go to our website, drjoe.com, just type in 21 day, it should come up, and you'll see what it is. It's not hard to do. And the money you save on the junk food and bad food that you're eating for those 21 days usually outweighs what you're paying for the program. So you actually make money on a deal, and that's kind of cool too. They said 10 companies control most of manufactured food. There's a company called Oxfam America. It's a nonprofit organization. And they created a really cool graphic describing how 10 companies control nearly every food product and beverage in a grocery store. Between those 10 companies, how much money do you think is being spent on food in the United States in a day? About $1 billion a day we spend on food. And yet, the most addictive drug out there is the food we eat. The most dangerous drug out there, if you look statistically, is the food we eat. More people die from heart disease and cancer caused by diet than any other drug. So, yeah, the drugs are bad. It's street drugs and some legal drugs are bad too. But the number one drug we have to try to rein in is what you put on the end of your fork. And it's not hard to do, folks. It's really easy. Go to our website, drjoe.com, and just type in, "So what can I eat?" and listen to that show we did. Another thing I kind of brushed on earlier is that a lot of the food we're eating now has been genetically modified. And about 70% of the crops in the United States come from genetically modified seeds. This is according to data from the International Service for the Acquisition of Agrobiotech Applications. And they say the most popular genetically modified foods are soybeans, corn, cotton, and canola. Canola oil. Why is it called canola oil? Because it comes from Canada. Canola. It's made from something called rapini, which actually is one of my favorite foods in the world. We call it broccoli rabe in Italian, or rapini. And they make canola oil from it, and it's can oil. It grows well in Canada, and so it's Canadian oil. Canola oil loaded with omega-6 fatty acids. Causes a lot of inflammation. I do not recommend you use canola oil. I don't recommend you use cottonseed oil because you wouldn't eat cotton seeds. Why would you use their oil? I would stay away from soybean oil, peanut oil, corn oil. If you're going to use an oil, try to use as absolutely little as possible. Extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin avocado oil, those are better choices. But I would stay away from the corn, the popular ones, the vegetable oils, because they're loaded with omega-6 fatty acids, oftentimes made from genetically modified crops. There's no upside to doing those bad oils, only downside. So just consider that, and the less oil you use, the better off you're going to be. I still make tomato salads because I'm Italian, and this year was a bumper crop of tomatoes. And so my father used to make it with salt and pepper, red pepper, oregano, and a little bit of olive oil. So I said, you know what? I don't need that little bit of olive oil. Let me take that out of my diet. And it worked fine. So really start to look at when you're using butters and spreads and olive oils and try to cut that out if you can. and use as little as possible, your body's going to thank you for it. Because even extra virgin olive oil is still processed. You have to take you don't eat olive oil, you'd eat an olive. So start to stay away from the processed foods. And the soybeans, corn, canola, they're processed. They're ultra processed, actually. And there's two types of genetically modified crops. One is herbicide tolerant, which means I can spray weed killer on it and it doesn't kill the plant. And the other genetically modified is insect resistant, which means if an insect eats the crop, they'll die. So they produce their own pesticides. What's happening now is both of them are on the increase, and there's something called stacked seed varieties that has traits of both. They're not foods that we're naturally designed to eat. You wouldn't go out in nature and find a genetically modified crop. And so when you put these crops in your body, they do a lot of things. Number one is they have proteins in them that we don't know how to digest. And so they can cause digestive problems. But the big thing is that many times they use glyphosate as a herbicide, as a weed killer. And it's increased dramatically in the past 20 years. Now, last week we did a show on your gut bacteria and how it affects your brain. Well, guess what kills off gut bacteria? Well, antibiotics can kill off good gut bacteria, but so does glyphosate. Now, experts have tied exposure to glyphosate and genetically modified foods to an imbalance in your gut bacteria, and that can lead to a variety of chronic diseases, including obesity. So if you're overweight, you have a certain type of bacteria in your colon. If you're skinny, you have a certain different type of bacteria. And this is not a joke. I've reported on this before. There are people now doing this, doctors, doing fecal transplants. They take the fecal matter out of somebody who's skinny, and they implant it in the colon of somebody who's fat. And they're trying to regrow these good bacteria, which helps maintain weight. So when you're overweight, and again, I used to be fat, so I can say this, when you're fat, your body produces different types of bacteria that keep you fat. And that's why when you change your diet, when you take supplements, when you add things like probiotics to your diet, you can change to the good bacteria, and that takes time. It's a little bit of work. A fecal transplant, not so much work. I don't want a fecal transplant. I don't want somebody else's feces in my body. That's a little weird to me. It's extreme, but there seems to be a benefit to it. But if you just change your diet, you'll grow those same bacteria in your colon. You can do this yourself. It's a DIY project. And all you got to do is change your diet. Now, if you have a health issue, folks, and I know a lot of times I do shows, or I do a lot of shows, and people will immediately email me or send me messages through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com, and say, Dr. Joe, I want to be your patient. I want to meet with you. I want to set up a consultation. If you'd like to become our patient, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb, the Atlanta area. We would love to be your doctors. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, headaches, digestive issues, hormone questions, or how to live longer questions, go to our website, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment right online or call us. Normally, the first visit is $712. It includes an exam, consultation, x-rays, going over the x-rays on your follow-up visit, a complete nutrition evaluation, and even your first treatment. All that's included. We've reduced that for my listeners to $299. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. We would love to see you, your family, your children. We treat across the board most people. Very seldom do we ever turn somebody away. I teach other doctors how to deal with car accidents. So if you're ever in a car accident, folks, please come see us immediately. If the car's damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. Even if you don't have pain right away, the pain has up to 6 months to show up. So if you're in an accident, you need to come see us right away so we can get it evaluated. And if there's no damage, we'll send you home. But if you are damaged, we'll tell you what you need to do to get that taken care of. I've never seen it where if the car was damaged, a patient wasn't, even if there's no pain. We can evaluate even in nerves that don't feel pain and show you that there's been new damage. So drjoe.com, we'd love to be your doctor. We accept people with all insurances. We accept cash patients. It depends what your insurance covers. We accept you. It depends what they cover. We have payment plans available. We have, you can pay it out over time, 0 interest. We do everything we can to help you get well and stay well. So drjoe.com, we'd love to see you as a patient. So we're talking today about the causes of most chronic diseases. We talked about obesity. I can't imagine not taking supplements, not just for obesity, but for my overall health. So we know that you need B vitamins to make the brain work better. You know that we need probiotics to keep the immune system strong. We know that you need omega-3 fatty acids for brain function. So I take the minimum supplements I would suggest you take would be Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. They're 2 powders. They taste great. We have plain hemp and mint Super Greens. I like the hemp and the mint better than the plain, but some people like the plain, so we have it there for you. I take a scoop of each. They're powders, scoop of Essential Source and Super Green, shake it up with some coconut milk, almond milk, frozen banana, make a smoothie, and drink it at least once a day. And I think you should too. So drjoe.com. I take a plethora of supplements because I know what the body needs, and we're happy to do that for you if we can. Put every patient that comes in, by the way, every new patient that comes in, we do nutrition evaluation on. It's part of your treatment. We don't even charge you for it. We do that because we want to do everything we can to help you get well. Chiropractic care, nutrition, those are for established patients. If you just want nutrition, then we'd have to talk about setting up a consultation fee for that. But for our regular patients, they get a free nutrition consultation. If you have questions, you can send me questions through the website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. We would love to help you, whatever we can do to help get you well, keep you well. drjoe.com, great source of information. And again, send me questions there. We're talking about causes of the chronic diseases. About 70% of the American diet is processed foods. There are links between obesity and chronic illness, of course. 70% of the crops grown in the United States are genetically modified. 73% of the population, is overweight, not obese, but just overweight. 60% of the population has at least one chronic disease, according to data. And consumption of ultra-processed foods is just about what 70% of general population eats. Now, ultra-processed foods are foods that are processed, and they really don't even resemble what they were. So if you have chickpeas and you make hummus out of it, okay, that's not a processed food. You took the chickpea in its natural form. But if you eat, let's say, flour, you pick wheat, you take off the germ, you take out the germ, which is where the nutrients are, the vitamin E and other nutrients. You take out the bran, which is the fiber, and what's left is called the endosperm. It's essentially sugar. So we grind up the endosperm. Sometimes we bleach it to make it whiter, and you don't need bleach in your diet. And then we try to do everything we can to give it a longer shelf life so that it can sit on your shelf longer and we can sell more of it. So a piece of bread, ultra-processed food. Hummus, not so much. So you got to look at how far away is that food from what it looked like when it was picked from the ground. And 70% of our diet is ultra-processed foods. So there's well over about 40,000 products on grocery store shelves. Most of them are processed or ultra-processed. One study found that 57.9% of foods eaten were ultra-processed and contributed to about 90% of our calories. And added sugar, of course, is part of that too. Data shows excess sugar in a diet can lead to decrease of feeling full, makes you hungry actually, increase in caloric intake, impaired energy in your body. And you know this, as soon as you have a cookie, you want more cookies. You have a piece of cake, you want more cake. You have some soda, you want more soda. Sugar makes you want more of what it is. All right, listen, I have to go to a break. If you have any healthcare questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. Most importantly, go to the website and make an appointment. Take that step, that progressive step to start getting your body healed. Every day, patients come in our offices and say, why didn't I do this sooner? Why did I wait so long to take this step? We've even reduced the price of the first visit from $712 to $299. We accept insurances. We have cash plans. We have 4 offices. Can't make it any easier. So the website, drjoe.com. Any questions, send it through there. Tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for being here. Hey, what we're talking about today are the causes of most chronic health conditions. And as I've said many times, we always try to get to the cause of your healthcare problem and not just treat the symptoms. And when it comes to chronic conditions, heart disease, diabetes, cancer, I'm not saying I have a cure for any of these. But statistically, if you eat a good diet, keep the nervous system healthy, keep the digestive system healthy, statistically, you're going to lower your risk of getting a disease than if you don't. And we said in the first part of the show that heavier you are, the higher the risk of getting a chronic disease. And so when you're very obese, morbidly obese, your risk of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, Crohn's, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, autoimmune diseases, thyroid issues skyrocket. I'm not a gambling man. Years ago in Vegas, if I go to a casino, and they used to use coins. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that. And I would walk through the casino looking on the ground for quarters. And one time I found like $1.25, and I was like, I scored big, baby. I won. So I'm not a gambling man, and I'm certainly not going to gamble on my health. And you don't have to gamble on your health. If you gamble at casinos, you don't have to gamble on your health. So don't take that risk. So we're talking about things that can increase your risk of chronic diseases. This, I think, is one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And that's doctors need to learn about nutrition and alternative therapies. It saddens me that patients come to us all day, every day. We have in Marietta, in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. And it saddens me that patients come to me, and they've been to other doctors, and they say, I have acid reflux, there's nothing that can be done. Had a gal the other day, horrible ADD, nothing can be done. Guy with seizures and dizziness, doctors don't know what's causing the seizures, nothing can be done. And then we look at them, and we do an analysis, and we check the nervous system, we check their digestive system, we check their diet. And I say, I can't promise anything. And I can't. Not every patient gets well under our care. But what if we did this? What if we fixed the diet? What if we fixed the nutrition? What if we fixed the digestive system? And when we do, in most cases, they see some good positive results. Sometimes 100% results. But those are issues that we need to look at. So I wish doctors would learn more about nutrition and alternative therapies. But you know why? There's no money in it. Some of my friends are surgeons. They do a back surgery, a couple of hours, 8 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours, whatever. $50,000, $100,000. I can sell you a lot of supplements, and we don't get good results. We get great results, but we don't make a whole lot of money. And so that's where the issues come in. There's not a lot of money coming in when you start looking at natural and alternative health therapies. Chiropractic care, most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain. So you would think logically that you should get chiropractic care if you have back pain. That should be the first portal of entry. All doctors should say start with chiropractic care. Now, we can't fix everybody, but we can fix a lot of them. So why don't we do that? Not a lot of money in it. It's not taught in medical school. Nutrition, almost zero nutrition is taught in medical school. Okay. Almost zero nutrition is being taught in medical school. And I have so many medical doctors come to me and say, Dr. Joe, I want you to do nutrition analysis for me, my wife, my family, my patients. And I'll ask them, what do you know about nutrition? And 100% of them say, we got no nutrition in medical school. We got maybe 1 hour of nutrition in medical school. It was an elective class. And so it worries me that the number one cause of chronic diseases is on the end of your fork, and doctors are taught zero about how to deal with that. Now, it's not their fault. It's the system. They're not taught it. It's not something that's discussed. Every now and then you'll have a rogue doctor break off and study a little bit about nutrition, and I love that. But I've been studying biochemistry, nutrition, chiropractic, digestive issues, the nervous system for 40 years. Every day. Not a day goes by that I'm not doing some type of research. And I still learn stuff every day. So I really think one of the issues why we have such this rampant chronic diseases is that doctors don't know how to treat the cause, but they know how to treat the symptoms. It's my opinion, but we look at overprescribed medication, we look at acid reflux medications, proton pump inhibitors, antidepressants, antibiotics, medications to manage other medications. How many people do that? You take a medication to manage another medication. I'm not saying medication is bad. I think it's amazing. And I think it's great. But there's no money in not taking medication. Now, I don't know if that's going to change anything, but I think that's one of the reasons why we have so many chronic diseases. Other reasons we have chronic diseases. Science, I put that in quotes, has replaced good fats with bad fats. Research known as the seven-country study was conceived by the late Ansel Keys, physiologist, who promoted processed polyunsaturated fats over natural dietary fats. And that became a big issue. It came back, the study was done in 1958 and was intended to identify dietary patterns that impact heart disease. So we said, okay, cut out the saturated fat, cut out the animal products, let's go to polyunsaturated fats. And that was all the buzz, vegetable oils. Well, turns out, didn't work out so well. The results of the study that he did changed the government dietary recommendations for decades, and the recommendations to eliminate certain fats, good fats from your diet, were part of that. Along with the addition of processed polyunsaturated fats to replace natural fats, the food industry also started adding sugar and whole grains to processed foods. And we talked about that, how that stimulates the pleasure centers in your brain, and you get high from it. So instead of helping decreasing heart disease, it actually increased many people's risk of coronary heart disease, and the replacements led to changes such as LDL, low-density lipoproteins, high-density lipoproteins, and triglycerides being all out of whack. Diets high in sugar may induce other abnormalities associated with elevated cholesterol levels, including elevated glucose, insulin resistance, uric acid buildup, glucose intolerance, insulin and leptin resistance. Again, I've broken down those in other shows. And the big one, which I found, is non-alcoholic fatty liver. And this is interesting. When I went to school, we were taught that if you have fatty liver, the person's an alcoholic. That's it. End of story. I went to school a long time ago. Now we see something non-alcoholic fatty liver come up, this condition come up everywhere. And it comes from a bad diet. And the liver, you can actually look at the liver under a microscope and it looks like marbled meat, has streaks of fat in it. One of the big causes of this is high fructose corn syrup. High fructose corn syrup has to be converted, fructose, the sugar, has to be converted into glucose, which is the form of sugar that we use in our diet and in our bodies. In the process of converting fructose into glucose, we create something called uric acid. It's a waste product. Uric acid gets in your joints and it hurts. Now, as a pain management expert, as a chiropractor, as a nutritionist, as a non-surgical orthopedist, as a board certified in pain management, I want to get you out of pain. That's why we do a nutritional consultation on every one of our patients. So if you're eating high fructose corn syrup, converting into glucose, uric acid is a byproduct. It gets in your joints and it hurts. Uric acid also prevents the body from producing something called nitric oxide, or slows down the process. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. It increases circulation. It is vital. And as we get older, our nitric oxide levels plummet. So we've got to get the nitric oxide levels up. And we can do that. I take a supplement, a nitric oxide supplement. It's on our website, drjoe.com. I take it every day. Because as I get older, I want to make sure my circulation is doing the best it possibly can. So I take the nitric oxide supplements every day. You probably should too, unless you have low blood pressure. And if you're taking erectile dysfunction medication, the little blue pills, don't take nitric oxide on the same day you take the little blue pill. It's my little warning there. But nitric oxide for most people works great, gives you lots of energy, makes your brain work better. One of my secrets is I take nitric oxide right before I do a lecture or a show. Because I don't know what kind of questions are going to come in. I don't know what I'm going to be faced when I get behind the microphone. And I want my brain working the best it possibly can. And nitric oxide is one of my secrets. It's on the website, drjoe.com. But uric acid prevents nitric oxide production. And then in the process, the liver is trying to process all the sugar and it can't get it done fast enough. So the liver says, I got to put this stuff somewhere. I'll get to it later. So I'm going to store it. I'm going to put it in a closet and get to it later, all this processing of sugars. And it stores it in the liver. And that becomes fatty liver. So bad food, processed foods, high fructose corn syrup, or high fructose anything, convert then into fatty liver. And that's one of the causes of fatty liver. And it's diet-induced. A diet high in added sugars is found to increase a 3-fold risk of death due to cardiovascular disease. Fatty liver, high blood pressure. It's hard to cut out the sugars. I get it. And the reason it's hard to cut out the sugars is sugar stimulates a part of your brain called the nucleus accumbens. And the nucleus accumbens gets you high. It releases dopamine, and dopamine is that pleasure neurotransmitter that we all love so much. And so when you eat sugar, the nucleus accumbens kicks in, and other parts of the brain too, and kicks in and produces the dopamine, and you're getting high from it, and it's a wonderful feeling, and that's why you can't eat just one. And that goes for potato chips and cookies and cakes and donuts and breads and pastas in my life. As soon as I have sugar, I want more. It's just that simple. Even if it's gluten-free and vegan and cupcakes or something, and I eat one of those, and man, I want 2 more of those. I want 5 more of those. Because we all like pleasure, and you're getting high from it. And so it's really hard. You're caught in a trap, as Elvis Presley said in that one famous song, right? Caught in a trap. And the more sugar you eat, the higher you get. Then you come off your high, you need more sugar to get high again, just like any other drug. So as a result of new processed foods, the average Americans develop a sweet tooth so strong that many experts believe that we're consuming about 130 pounds of sugar per year per person. Now, if you're a 130-pound person, you're consuming the weight of yourself. That's crazy. Sugar's become so cheap and so ubiquitous, which means it's everywhere. It's in nearly every processed and ultra-processed food. Yeah, it's cheap, it's easy. And then high fructose corn syrup is cheaper still and sweeter still. So if I'm making something I want you to buy, I'm going to add more of the things that are going to drive you to eat more of it. High fructose corn syrup is the perfect solution to that. Cheaper, sweeter. Now, yeah, it can lead to uric acid issues, circulation issues, brain damage, sexual dysfunction, fatty liver. I don't really care if I'm selling you a product. I care that you buy my product. My job is to get you to care about your health. Their job is to get you to buy the products. And we talked about how good fats have been replaced with bad fats. So according to USDA, consumption per year of added fat oil rose by 30 pounds between 1970 and 2010. The amount of saturated animal fat declined, but the rate of vegetable fat and seed oils increased. So these are the industrial oils that are likely the majority of causing of diseases in the country. Because we said earlier that canola oil, corn oil, soy oil, they're very high in omega-6 fatty acids. And omega-6 fatty acids cause inflammation in the body, and we've done shows on inflammation in the past, and they're so dangerous. They're cheap. They're dangerous, though. Peanut oil, same thing. So please try to use as little oil as humanly possible. If you are going to use oil, make sure it's like an organic avocado oil. Those are better choice. Coconut oil, it's still a saturated fat, but it's a different type of saturated fat, so it's not quite as bad as animal proteins, animal fats. If you're going to use olive oil, make sure it's extra virgin organic. But we really want to start cutting those oils out of our diet. And it's so prevalent in modern diets that it is now one of the leading causes of disease. So don't eat oil if you can. And fried foods, you just got to cut them out of your diet, folks. It just is what it is. Because no matter how good the oil, when you fry something, extra molecules of hydrogen are added to that oil, and the oil becomes toxic. It becomes supersaturated with hydrogen molecules. It becomes a hydrogenated oil. And that's what it is. Hydrogenated oil means we supersaturated it with hydrogen molecules, and those are some of the worst oils in the world. They cause inflammation. They lead to heart disease and diabetes and cancer and Alzheimer's. They can, since they should. They can. And we know that when we cut those out of our diet, the better off we are. What's the problem with that? Fried food tastes good. I love fried food. Who doesn't love fried food? So you just have to say, here's the sentence I want you to know. Say, I don't eat that. Just that simple. I don't eat that. I don't eat animal products. I've been a vegan now vegan plant-based for about 35 years. And so I was at a party the other day, and I paid a lot of money to go to this event. And it was $85 a person. And they had a dinner buffet, and they had booze. They had beer and wine available for free as part of your entry fee. And the only thing I was able to eat, which still wasn't the best thing, was some stir-fried rice and some other vegetables. They had a big salad there covered in cheese. So I ate before I went. I kind of knew this was going to happen. But I just said, I don't eat the meat and the pasta. I don't eat the pork rolls that they had. I don't eat the salad with the cheese on it. So you just have to take on this sentence in your life and say, I don't eat that. I just don't eat it. There's always something for you to eat. There was a little crudité table out there, I guess it was, and it had some gluten-free crackers and some regular crackers and some grapes and some fruit. I could have had that, worst case scenario. But here's the little trick that I do. In my car right now, I have a big bag of cashews, portable bag of cashews, and I've got some trail mix. So should there be an emergency and there's absolutely nothing for me to eat, I can always eat a bag of cashews, and I'm not going to starve. I didn't go to this event for dinner. I went to the event to make connections, and it was kind of fun. Jeff Foxworthy was the host, the MC of the party, the master of ceremonies. And I walked up to him and said, "Hey, Jeff, Joe Esposito." He's, "Dr. Joe, I listen to you all the time." And, he looked at my date and he says, "Dr. Joe, have you got her eyes checked?" And he looks at her and goes, "Sweetheart, can you see anything? Do you know who your date is?" So it was kind of fun. Jeff Foxworthy, ripped on me a little bit. It was kind of fun. So, but the point is that I went there for the party. I didn't go there for the food. And so you just have to make better decisions about that, because food is the driver of chronic degenerative diseases in modern civilization. And we call for the inundation of Western diets with harmful oils to be banned. That's what I'm calling for. It's not going to happen, but it can happen for you. You can make better decisions. Other things that are drivers in chronic diseases is the new trend, and I'm going to buck my own people here, is fake meat. It turns out that fake meat is better than regular meat, but it's still not a health food. And a good example is this. There's a very famous burger place. There's a couple around Atlanta now, and they're all vegan. And I had it once. It was at a food truck at an event, and it was spectacular. And it was so flavorful. And I thought, I can't wait to go back to this place. So many, many, many years had passed, and I said, I was in an area, downtown Atlanta, and I said, I'm going to go and get one of these burgers. And I got it, and it was a vegan Hawaiian bun, and it was it had vegan sauce on it, and it wasn't nearly as good. So the quality had gone down dramatically. But after I ate it, I felt so heavy and so fat and so bloated. Oh, there were French fries with it too. So there's about a handful of French fries. So I said, I'll eat these. What the heck? And I just didn't feel good for about 2 days. So what happens is this. When you start eating well and you start changing your diet, your taste and your craving for these bad foods goes away. And when you do expose yourself to that, again, this was fake meat. It was all vegan. I just didn't feel good. So be careful with the fake meats. They're ultra-processed foods. Those are, of course, the enemies of good health. And even increasing the risk of premature death by 62% when you eat these ultra-processed foods. Now, a plant-based diet is still better than a non-plant-based diet. They're talking about ultra-processed standard American diet foods. But here's the thing. If you're going to eat fake meat, I'm going to recommend you do the non-soy version. Because what they do is they do something called textured soy protein. They process the soy, and when they process it, it gives it a meaty texture to it. It's not good for you. In fact, it's very high in glutamic acid. And glutamic acid is an excitotoxin to the brain. It causes the brain to fire faster than it's supposed to and can actually damage the brain. So if you're going to do the fake meats, I recommend you do the pea protein, not the soy proteins. And that's a better choice. Some of the fake meat products use genetically modified soy, and that's another reason why you shouldn't do it. So listen, I'm not against soy. If you want to eat soy, absolutely positively knock yourself out. Make sure it's organic. That's all I ask. Soy is great. It has phytonutrients in it. It can help balance hormone issues with phytoestrogens. That's a whole nother lecture. But if you're going to do soy, it's got to be organic. Don't do the genetically modified soy. Not a fan. Now, you're at a Thai restaurant. You're going to get some vegan Thai food. It has a little bit of tofu in it. That's not the end of the world. 80% of what you eat is important. The other 20%, or even 10%, say 90%. The other 10%, don't worry about that. Worry about your 80 or 90%. Worry about doing all the things that you can do to get well and stay well. And the three things you need to get well and stay well are a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition. If you do 80 to 90% of your diet of your life based on that, the other 10% you can screw up and you're probably not going to have a real bad adverse effect. What will happen, though, is once you get healthy, you don't want to go back to that lifestyle. Like I had that veggie burger. I just didn't feel good afterwards, so I'm not going to go there anymore. But the nervous system controls everything. Your brain is sending messages down your spine, out your nerves to every cell in the body. The heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen. Every cell has to have some communication with the brain one way or another, or else you're dead. So if you have a pinched nerve, some of the signs might be neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, sciatica, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness. Chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for those types of cases. Now, can it help 100%? No, it can't. But if we can't help you in our offices, we can always refer you to doctors that we work with. A neurologist, an orthopedist, a neurosurgeon, a physiatrist, a physical therapist. But most of the time, you get the best results with my doctors. My doctors, I feel, are some of the best in the world. They're handpicked by me, they're trained by me, and they're my personal doctors. So if I don't trust my doctors taking care of me, I don't trust them taking care of you. So if you'd like to make an appointment to come see me and my doctors in the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Go to our website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com, and we'll set you up. You can set up an appointment right online or call us. We accept people with all insurances. It depends if your insurance covers us. We accept you. If it doesn't, we have cash plans available, payment plans available. Many times it's cheaper to not use your insurance because the insurance companies have gone totally out of control. $5,000, $6,000 deductibles, $50, $100 copays. They don't want you to go to the doctor. So many times it's cheaper just to see us than even use your insurance. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. If you don't have insurance, that's fine too. I'd say 40% of our patients don't have insurance. We have cash plans available, extremely affordable. Let's get that nervous system working. I believe that's the missing link in healthcare, is doctors learning about alternative therapies, like what we do, and then referring to the doctors that do alternative therapies. And if we do introduce that, I believe we can really knock out a huge chunk of our healthcare crisis that we have right now. It's a sick care crisis. I shouldn't say healthcare crisis, sick care crisis. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. What we do a consultation exam, x-rays, first treatment, and then on a follow-up visit, go over all our findings and a complete nutrition evaluation. Normally the cost for that is $712. We've reduced that for our listeners to $299. That's crazy inexpensive. X-rays alone at any place else is probably going to cost you more. But we do not only the quality work, but we also do nutrition evaluation. I don't know of anybody who actually does a nutrition evaluation the way we do, because we want to make sure you have the nutrients to heal. Regardless of how good your surgeon, your neurosurgeon is, your vascular surgeon, your medical doctor, your gynecologist, no matter how good they are, if you don't have the nutrients that the body needs to heal, you're not going to get all the results that you can get. And that's why a lot of doctors refer their patients to us to do a nutrition evaluation. Check the nervous system, check the digestive system, and we work together. We co-manage the cases. So if you'd like to make an appointment, you can do it right online, drjoe.com. Listen, if you like what you hear, we post every single day on social media. So follow us at Dr. Joe Esposito, all one word, at Dr. Joe Esposito. If you're a podcast junkie, type in Dr. Joe for the health of it. Dr. Joe for the health of it. And we have hundreds of hours of podcasts. Or you can use our website as a referral source. Just type in what you're looking for, diabetes, heart disease, and we've probably done a podcast or a show for it. And the website, again, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Tell your friends about the show. I'll catch you next time.